Welcome back to Where You Live with Gene and Tony. It's great to have you with us on this Sunday morning. We're broadcasting from the Concierge Landscape Studios. We're brought to you by Extreme Exteriors. Before we get into our next story, which is going to be dealing with a condominium board that ended up having a lawsuit against a homeowner because they kept a parrot as a pet. Over $40,000 in litigation costs. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. But before we do, I'd like to let our listeners know of a great free gift that we have for you just for listening here on Where You Live with Gene and Tony. We have a bi-monthly newsletter. It's called What's New. A lot of the articles and topics that we cover are covered in further detail in that newsletter. It's yours free for the asking. Give us a call during the week at New Concepts. The number 952-922-2500. Ask for Courtney. She'll make sure that you start receiving your free subscription, and you can start receiving that either electronically or by U.S. mail. Your choice. But give us a call, 952-922-2500. One of the things that I want to highlight that's in the newsletter, one of the reasons why you'll want to receive that or go to our website at New Concepts as well, we put on every month free webinars in the evening. People can they last anywhere, I think, between 15 minutes to a half hour, maybe an hour.
45 minutes seems often,
And we have got some great topics coming up now in March and in April. Next Wednesday evening, March 15th, starting at 7 p.m., we're going to be doing another webinar that we did once before called Association Politics, the Art of Dealing with Difficult People. And
that's a good one.
It really is. You know, I mean, a lot of people wonder why do my association, why does the meeting seem to last forever? You know, why does it seem like you try and get good folks that'll be on the board only to have them get off right away and resign very quickly? Well, in this webinar, we're going to teach people to identify and deal with some of the most obnoxious, difficult personalities you would ever want to meet. And so it's going to be a great webinar. But you can get that information by going online at our website, www.newconceptsgroup.com, or by asking for our newsletter.
I also want to remind people to call us with your questions or comments about the radio program. Our hotline is 952-224-2668, and we'd love to hear what you think, and we'd love to hear your ideas for topics of discussion. I also, Gene, I spoke to a high school class last week, which I love to do.
You do that periodically,
I love to do it. And it's through an organization called Best Prep, and they actually provide speakers, industry-related speakers in all types of subjects for high school classes. And my expertise happens to be in renting your first apartment and or careers in property management.
So you help teach kids that are in high school now what they need to do to prepare for their first rental experience.
That's right. And kind of explain to them what their rights are, give them a little idea of that. In any event, I met a young man named, and now I'm Billy Holder. I was going to forget it. And he asked me to please give him a shout out on the radio program this week. So, hi, it was nice meeting you. He's a football player going on to college from Coon Rapids High School.
Hey there, Billy. We wish you well. Did he mention what his aspirations are after high school?
Well, I know he's going to be playing football at the college he's going to, because we talked about differences between living in a dorm and living in your first apartment. There's some similarities and some differences.
Yeah. Okay. And again, that's just a fun course, isn't it?
It's very fun to talk to high school students. Boy, they have great questions. Many of them have experienced living in rental property with their families, and many of them have had negative experiences. So it always makes for a lively discussion.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's, with that, get going with our second story here. And this is the condo board, the lawsuit, and the $40,000 parrot. Okay, this came from the Canadian Globe and Mail newspaper from Ontario, Canada. February 24th. A lot of people, a parrot, it seems, has, the story begins by saying, the parrot, it seems, had something to say and wanted to be heard. Now, even into the condominium corridor. Other residents complained, and that's when Ontario's Condominium Act came into play, and that's when the parrot's keepers were left speechless. Here's the situation that took place, and this has probably been going on for about 1.5 years to 2 years now. There was a couple, the last name Bezelinski, and people in the association said, we hear that they have a pet, that they have a parrot.
Have you ever heard a parrot? They are extremely loud and extremely obnoxious, noisy pets.
You can, and it's distinct, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. You're not going to be able to claim that was your cat or your child. Parrots sound like parrots.
Yeah. And so the association had a prohibition about any kind of pets whatsoever.
And it was obvious this parrot was living with the Baselinskis.
Now, you had a situation that happened with someone. Was it with?
Yes, I did.
Tell our listeners about it.
Right.
I love this story.
Right. The last time I managed a large apartment community, I was the site manager at a 365-unit apartment community up on the northern suburbs. I had a new assistant manager start, and she was required to live on site. So she moved into an apartment in the community.
Okay.
Within a few days, she came into work and said, Tony, the guy that lives next door to me has a little dog. I can hear it barking. I can hear it. And then he yells at it. He screams at it. Shut up. Keep quiet. And throws in some expletives and swear words. Shut the F up and get out of here. I mean, she was even worried not only that he had an unauthorized pet. Pets were not allowed in this community, but that he maybe was being abusive to it. It sounded bad. So I wrote a letter to this gentleman, said, we've become aware that you have a dog. Please be advised that's against the rules and regulations and a violation of your lease. You must get rid of the dog.
Yeah.
Or you may lose your housing. Next thing I know, he's storming into the office, just madder than a wet hen, and accuses me of discrimination against him because he has a handicap. And his handicap is, he claims, that he has Tourette's. And that the noises our assistant manager was hearing of the dog barking and him swearing at it and telling it to shut up were actually him.
That ain't no dog. That's me with Tourette's.
That's me with Tourette's. I was making those barking sounds. I was doing the yelling. And, of course, he's being on the offense with me. He's going to sue my pants off because of I made this
adamant,
accusation.
Right? Sincere as the day is long,
yeah.
Right? Yeah.
I said, please forgive me. I am so sorry. I had no way of knowing that you had this disability. All you have to do is bring me a statement from your doctor explaining your condition, and you will never hear another word about it. That took care of the issue. I never heard from him again. And we never heard the dog again. End of story.
So you got it taken care of. But that's a cute story. It's one of my it's one of my favorites.
I like it too.
But it goes to show what we're talking about with prohibition with pets. It's not just with condominium associations. It's apartments.
Anywhere you have to share walls. I mean, you have to have some controls on noise.
Yeah.
And disruption. So
that's exactly what we have here. And folks, again, this has happened in Ontario, Canada. Family by the name of Bezelinski. They had a parrot, although they said, and this is very important, they said, we don't have a parrot. They said in 2010, we briefly took care of a friend's parrot, but we only had it for 2 weeks. He said, I can't even remember the parrot's name. I can't remember what the parrot said or, what its phrases were. He said, and the condo board declined comment. Okay.
For the article.
For the article about this. But they ended up taking Mr. Bezelinski and his wife to court.
Because the condo board believed that parrot was there until well into 2011.
That's right.
That it was a matter of months, not a matter of a couple of weeks. Yeah.
And then as the story goes on, instead of Mr. Bezelinski, I think he first tried to make a a cursory attempt, I think, to try and show I don't have a pet.
Okay.
And so what he did, folks, next, he had, I guess, a personal trainer that comes in for him and his wife. He knows someone who's a real estate agent and someone who's an electrician, who all signed an affidavit affirming that there is no pet that they saw in the unit when they were in the Bezelinski's home.
Okay.
Now, of course, this did not seem to take care of things for the association.
This wasn't sufficient evidence.
But primarily because people were still saying, we still hear this parrot.
Right.
Well, what takes place next, you ask? I'll go over that, but we'll do that after these messages. So don't go away. You're listening to Where You Live with Gene and Tony on AM 1280, The Patriot.